Hello, everybody, and welcome to the weekly Nintendo News Roundup live with All In Crew every Friday night. Breaks down the week in Nintendo news. Fridays here at youtube.com/allinpodcast live at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Hey, Bowza. Shoutouts to Bowza here in the chat. Shoutouts to everybody hanging out with us live on YouTube. Breaking down this week in Nintendo news, and there's certainly no shortage of it to break down this week.
Oh, did stuff happen? Did stuff happen?
Stuff happened.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Gives us something to do then here Friday night with all of our amazing people. Good to see you all this lovely Friday evening. It's going to be a good weekend. I have a good feeling about it. We're here in June. I mean, functionally video game Christmas at this point. It's been a nuts first 9 or 10 days already, and we have every assurance that it's going to continue to be absolutely bonkers. But before we get into all of that, sir, we have to take care of some very important business.
Yeah, the important business that we take care of at the beginning of every show. We need to thank the amazing friends and supporters at patreon.com/allinpodcast. Bunch of
our very own cameo fighters.
There you go. That's a very Eric thing to say, that's for sure. So big thanks to our Golden Banana supporters like Rob Yapel, Third Strongest Mole, Sean O'Baggins, Ashton, Tim A, aka Neo Prime 33, aka Nintendo Dad number 4, Matt, Shy Guy City Murray, Phelan Ward, Bill Tucker, Marcus O'Neill, Liam D, Bowza, who's here in the chat, hi Bowza, Gamer Jason,
Hello.
And Andrew Wilkins. Thanks so much to our Golden Banana bunch. But let's thank our Triforce tier supporters. We need to thank Josh Vaughn, the Godfather of Tingle Love Tuesday, John Dat Fast Cummins of the Retro Logic podcast, as well as the On Topic Retro podcast, the Globe-Trottin' Jet-Settin' Nintendo Hub and Sparky of the Nintendo Hub here on YouTube, Adam Caparello of the Retro Groove podcast, as well as Octorock 1982 here on YouTube, Shy Guy, the other half of our Shy Guy Mod Squad, thank you Shy Guy, Daniel Hinojosa, Dan and Luma, Solo Something, and the legend himself.
The biggest headline from the inaugural E3, Uncle Randy.
The inaugural E3 headline, Uncle Randy. We'll go for it. E3 is still alive in our hearts, man.
Our hearts. that was just the headline. Just That's Uncle true. Randy. That's the headline. Just those two words.
That's it. Show's over, folks. Uncle Randy. No, we appreciate y'all. Thank you very much for your love and support. Keeping the lights on over here. Speaking of keeping the lights on, Eric has informed me that it's storming pretty heavily there in the Florida branch of All In Towers. So we'll see what happens, man. We'll see.
See what happens.
Let go.
If I gotta go, if I gotta go off of a hotspot on my phone, I can do that.
Eric's gonna phone in here. We'll see what happens, man. We'll hope.
Not gonna stop me from talking about the news this week.
That's right. You know, we did have hey Locklith. Locklith's here in the chat. Appreciate y'all. We had a pretty bad bout of weather recently too, and our neighbors across the way have like a tin thing on their roof, and we saw lightning hit their roof.
Mm-hmm.
Like it just struck their and I was curious. I was like what happens when lightning hits your roof? I was like, what are they okay? You know? And apparently it's actually like a safety thing, because it is safer for your tin roof to conduct lightning and then bounce it, like ricochet it to the ground, essentially.
Yeah.
Than it would be for lightning to hit your, say, wooden, roof or whatever and catch fire. I didn't know that. So yeah, the more you know. Fun facts.
Dun 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 dun.
Yeah, the more you know, man. But
the more you know.
Yeah, the more you know. Yeah, Lachlan said they had an IRL Tears of the Kingdom experience. So, very much so.
They need Riku's helmet. I
saw like the little sparks coming up slowly, and then all of a sudden, I used to love doing that in and you can still do it in Tears of the Kingdom if you get the same helmet, but you can get that lightning immunity helmet, and I would just run up on people and just let the lightning strike me.
Yep.
It's very, very good. Anyways, we're here to talk about the news.
My favorite thing I ever did in that regard was in Tears of the Kingdom. You know how like the enemies use dynamic weapons. A lot of them aren't prepared to fight you. So they'll just run and grab the closest weapon that they can find. They'll even, if you drop your weapon, they'll grab it.
Yeah.
So in the middle of a lightning storm, I actually dropped a wooden soldier sword, or a metal soldier sword, and had one of the Lizalfos pick it up, and sure enough, cocoon!
That'll do it. That'll do it, man.
I just did it for my own edification, but that was so funny. I love that game so much.
It's a pretty good game.
It's a pretty
all
good
right.
game, yeah.
Well, Summer Game Fest happened. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk a little bit about Day of the Devs, a little bit about Devolver Digital. We're basically going to cover all of the Nintendo news out of these shows. But what do you say we get into it?
Sounds good. There's certainly a lot to get into. Let's properly embrace June and the June Nintendo news cycle. Let's talk about it.
Hey, listen!
Navi's welcomed us in, and we're here to talk about Summer Game Fest, my friends. So we want to start there. We have a couple of little other stories, but should we just get right into Summer Game Fest?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Let's just jump right in. And honestly, there were a couple big Nintendo headlines from Summer Game Fest. Honestly enough, Nintendo wasn't an official part of Summer Game Fest, but there were actually quite a few takeaways from the Nintendo side of things. As a matter of fact, the very first game they showed off is coming to the Nintendo Switch, which I have since seen a lot of people deride because it's not classic to the franchise. Those people are new, and they should really think before they tweet. But of course, we are talking about the newly announced Prince of Persia.
Yeah, man.
Lost Crown, coming from Ubisoft. I cannot wait.
Prince of Persia TLC Don't Go Chasing Waterfalls edition. It was funny. We used to have an inside joke when I worked at GameStop when I really liked the 2008 Prince of Persia reboot, but we would call it T-Pop lovingly in the store. So little T-Pop TLC announced for January 18th. It is coming to the Nintendo Switch. And for me personally, I think this was my game of the show. I think it looks awesome. It is because the roots of Prince of Persia lie in that kind of side-scrolling platformer, kind of methodical. But this, it was sort of before Metroidvanias were Metroidvanias sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, cool to see
the original Prince of Persia. Yeah, its true roots. A lot of people there's a lot. I learned yesterday that a lot of people think Prince of Persia Sands of Time was the very first Prince of Persia game. Oh no, my sweet summer child. Way, way before that, the Prince of Persia series started out as a side-scrolling, somewhat exploration-based, combat-centric platformer. And when I saw it going back to its 2D, Metroidvania, it was a Metroidvania before Metroidvania was even a word. Before Vania and Metroid were real mainstays within, the gaming landscape, this was doing it. And I was so happy to see it really going back to its roots. And just like Metroid Dread, just as excited I was to see a AAA, a high-profile Metroidvania game come to modern consoles, I am maybe honestly just as excited to see Prince of Persia Lost Crown as I was to see Metroid Dread when they first showed off that trailer at E3 2021 way back when. But yeah, Prince of Persia Lost, that's a day one for me, easy. It looks absolutely great. Just the classic kind of parkour-esque platforming and the combat and the bosses, and it just looks. Thank you, Ubisoft. Thank you for doing that. We've been really concerned about the Prince of Persia franchise for the past couple of years because of all the stories coming out about the Sands of Time remake and about all the different weirdness going on with that and the multiple delays, going back to the drawing board on the visuals. So we didn't really know what the state of the franchise was until yesterday. And lo and behold, Ubisoft decided, really to go back to the drawing board on this.
Yeah.
I don't know if this was a direct result of the reception of the Sands of Time remake trailer. I don't know if this was a specific course correction because of that, but regardless of why it's happening, I'm excited.
I am too. Yeah, I doubt it. I think what's probably happening here is I think this is a totally different team. And what I'm actually
that
kind
wouldn't
of
surprise me at all.
Yeah, what I'm actually kind of hopeful for is that they have, gone back to the drawing board and tried to land on something of a new visual style that is more congruent with with Sands of Time. That original Sands of Time back on the GameCube, like that game had a sort of like cartoony look to it, the sort of exaggerated features, a little bit cartoonish, and that's kind of what we're seeing here. I like the new Prince design quite a bit.
I do too.
I like a lot of the monster designs that we see in the trailer. The combat looks fast, and it looks great, man. Like I'm really excited for it. Like I said, this really impressed me. It's coming out January 18th. We're gonna see more of it at Ubisoft Forward on the 12th. So we'll talk about that a little bit next week. And there is a part of me that's kind of hoping that we see this and like some sort of like, here is the Sands of Time reboot. We're re-revealing it basically, and it's utilizing an engine that is more in line, like a visual style that looks like the Lost Crown versus the kind of more, brown and gray realistic look that they initially showed that everybody was so negative to. So
the 2-generation-old realistic look that everybody...
Yeah, it didn't look great, and that's why they had to go back to the drawing board. They have indefinitely delayed it. But that happened a long time ago, like early. I remember we talked about that around the time we started All In, now 3 years ago. So it's been a minute. So yeah. Anyways, I'm excited for this. I'm hopeful about Sands of Time, and it's nice to be excited about T-pop, Eric.
Yeah. There's another known quantity that going into Ubisoft Forward that we can be excited about. So I've got to imagine, Sparks of Hope is going to be there. We know that this is going to be there. So it just makes me more excited for Ubisoft Forward, a show that historically has not had a ton of Nintendo representation at it. Yeah. So
we got at least one.
So yeah, we got at least one. We got one, guys.
We got one.
We got one. But we're waiting on more information for that. Another game that got shown off in a very high-profile respect at yesterday's Summer Game Fest kickoff show is a game that has already, frankly, begun its full-force media blitz. I am, of course, talking about a little game you might have heard of called Mortal Kombat 1. We got an extended gameplay look yesterday. Jeff Keighley even brought Ed Boon up onto the stage, and actually some good questions from Jeff Keighley. But we learned a ton. And since then, they've released a ton of new footage. GameSpot earlier today posted like several full matches worth of footage with the full UI, so we were able to really see how things were working, how much damage stuff was doing, what meter and how it was being used, and how it all interacted with each other. So there's a couple major points that I'm going to bring up, but honestly, from all the little ins and outs and all the FGC speak that I could go into, I could very easily talk about this for ever. But there are a couple high-profile YouTubers that have already got hands-on with the game that are going to be making impression videos. Maximilian's got hands-on, Rooflemonger got hands-on, several others, and they're all kind of saying the same thing. It's like cameos. These cameo characters basically are the game.
Okay.
Rooflemonger specifically said in a tweet earlier today that they are as integral to the gameplay as the drive system is for Street Fighter 6. Max said there's a ton of stuff that you can do with them, a ton of ways that they integrate directly into basically all facets of combat, and that the move lists specifically are very large, and there's a ton of potential with all the characters. So like I said, just individual stuff that I could pick out. I was watching the matches and just, making notes and everything. But we are in the full force media blitz for Mortal Kombat 1. Expect new trailers, expect character reveals. The combat casts are going to return probably within the next couple weeks, if not sooner. So if you're excited about Mortal Kombat 1, there's more than enough media out there to consume already, more than enough facts and more than enough knowledge around the game and the characters and the potential and everything that's going on, the changes that they've made to Mortal Kombat 11, even though the game was clearly built on the bones of MK11. That's very obvious, but there are still a ton of major differences going on. A couple things that I certainly would like to see return, but it's very clear, and even from the name, this was the case, clearly, but it's very clear they are in many ways going back to the series' roots. That's very apparent with a lot of the ways the character look. It's been confirmed that the new Sub-Zero, or that Sub-Zero in Mortal Kombat 1 is actually Bi-Han, who was Sub-Zero in the original Mortal Kombat. It's that kind of faithful to OG MK. And they've already shown off a bunch of cool fatalities. Jax has his classic MK3 fatality where he grows to the size of a building and steps on the perch. It's great. It's fantastic. I can't wait. There's a couple small things that I'm slightly concerned about in regards to the gameplay, but that pales in comparison to just how excited I am at seeing all of this new stuff. If you're a member of the FGC, I'm sure you're all over it already. And I really wish you hadn't told me one specific thing, Seth.
Well, I sent Eric a screenshot. I texted him a screenshot earlier today because, it's exciting. I'm a casual Mortal Kombat fan. I like it, but I'm not nearly... It's funny because, we've been talking so much about Mortal Kombat between All In Side Quest, which is one of our Patron exclusive shows, where Eric got into much more detail on Mortal Kombat 1. We need to just get you a fighting game podcast. That needs to be a thing.
I could very easily do that.
We got to make some movement on that because it is so clear how passionate and knowledgeable you are about this. And there's never been, we're in kind of a fighting game renaissance. I'm like, this is the perfect time to get Eric a fighting game podcast, man. So anyways, that's been in my mind swirling around, but I texted Eric a screenshot of my phone notification that Mortal Kombat 11 had been downloaded on my Nintendo Switch. And the reason for that is because it's on sale for $8.99. You can get the Ultimate Edition of Mortal Kombat 11 on the Nintendo
not just
Switch.
MK11, MK11 Ultimate, the final version with all the characters, all the costumes, all the DLC, everything is severely discounted on the Nintendo Switch right now. It's a ton of memory, so make sure you've got enough room for it, and make sure you're old enough, because MK is not, for the super young, but that's that's a value.
Yeah, dude, $8.99. I was like, I kind of have to. My wife wants to play it and everything, so I was like, this is a no-brainer. And it's. I think, I really wanted to get my hands on it too because I think it'll give us a little bit of an idea of what MK1 might, perform like on Switch because it's almost certainly going to use the same engine and. So I'm looking forward to kind of tooling around with that and seeing what the deal is. So, MKX and MK11, the kind of the transition between those two games was incredibly pronounced. MKX was this incredibly fast-paced, rush-down style game. They actually had a run button. But MK11, much more about neutral and footsies and kind of being more deliberate. It's a much bigger. Much more kind of deliberate transition between MKX and MK11. But it's like I said, it's very clear that MK1 is kind of being built on the bones of MK11, despite all the major, clear differences that they are incorporating into this game. The cameo fighters being, chief among them. But yeah, there's a ton of stuff to dig into. As anybody who's even remotely familiar with the FGC will tell you at this point, fighting games have become
like basically like chess matches. They are incredibly involved. There's a ton of stuff that you can do, and there's a lot of strategy, and there's a lot of mind games, and there's a lot more that goes into individual fighting games these days than they're used to. We have long since gone past the days of just simple, punches, kicks, Hadoukens, and that was basically it. So I'm super excited to see how many onions or how many layers the onion of Mortal Kombat 1 has to peel back.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's coming September 19th. We don't have long to wait. Coming up in just over 3 months at this point. So, and like you said, the news blitz is in full effect at this point. We're going to be hearing much more about it between now and then. Ed Boon said as much too. So
yeah, we'll be getting new videos, new media, new reveals, new announcements. We'll be getting multiple, new stuff probably every week. Probably multiple new trailers and character dissections and videos from YouTubers who've gotten hands on. We'll probably be getting more stuff multiple times a week up through December and beyond, more than likely. Oh, it's super exciting. Super exciting.
Very cool. Well, I'll tell you what else was exciting. Another huge surprise coming into this. We had sort of thought maybe we'd see like some Sonic Frontiers, the story DLC maybe would be at Summer Game Fest, but we didn't expect that a brand new 2D Sonic Superstars, a classic style Sonic game, would be revealed here. And it looks awesome.
It does. Fantastic. It looks so cool. It looks very much like the classic, the classic style Sonic, but in 3D. The same classic Sonic that we see in games like Sonic Generations and Sonic Forces, but just basically given his own game, essentially. But not just his own game. Tails and Knuckles are there, and they also announced Amy, who's coming. So yeah, it looks really, really cool. They showed off some really interesting it kind of almost felt like Sonic Colors with some of the weird powers that you're going to get access to. Sonic and the crew turned into these weird pixelated squids. So they showed Sonic like running on the wall at some point, and it apparently a lot of the new mechanics and powers are going to be connected directly to the Chaos Emeralds, correct?
Yeah, that's what the press release said, is that the Chaos Emeralds are not simply, in previous Sonic games, it's like, get the 7 Emeralds and then become Super Sonic, and that's it.
Yep.
Well, it sounds like in this one, the Chaos Emeralds are each going to have, like, those weird kind of gameplay, gimmicks attached to them. So, that sounds really cool. You can play the whole thing in local co-op, which is really neat, too. I'm excited to hear the music. I'm excited to see how it feels to play. Especially the way that, if Sonic Mania, for example, is anything to go off of, 2D Sonic's been pretty good, comparatively lately. The Sonic Origins collection came out, and the response to the way that game felt to play was really positive. Some of the weird, like, deluxe edition nonsense with it was odd, but
notwithstanding,
yeah, like the actual, it seems like Sega has at least something of an understanding right now of the way Sonic should feel in 2D. And that's nice because I've heard reports from people who have played it at Summer Game Fest who are like, yes, like this game is fantastic. Steve Bowling from Good Vibes Gaming said it's his game of show. So I'm excited for this. It's coming this fall. Full retail price, $59.99 for the standard edition. There will be a deluxe edition because of course there will.
Of course.
But I mean, look, man, let's go. Like, let's see. $59.99 2D Sonic game. Let's do it.
I'm super excited for this game, but if I'm going to criticize Kirby for something, I can't really let Sonic off the hook for it. The fact that it's only local co-op.
Sure.
Is really weird because I feel like we should be able to make online co-op with games like this work. We have made it work with several other games. So there's not a doubt in my mind that all the people at Summer Game Fest that are playing this already are right on the money. I'm sure this is going to be great. Like I said, I know we've been burned by Sonic games in the past. I know the last time they tried a 2.5D Sonic game, it didn't go well. I still, the memories of Sonic the Hedgehog 4 are still fresh in my mind. But I am still super, super excited for it. But like I said, if I'm going to criticize Kirby for it, I can't let Sonic off the hook. I really think the multiplayer should have an online component. But it doesn't, and there's really nothing I can do about it. So,
Yeah,
but
I mean, look, it's one of those things. It's 2023. It always feels weird when a game with a strong online component doesn't offer, a strong co-op component doesn't offer an online version of it. That is always strange in 2023. Yeah. But it is what it is. As long as the game's good, I'm gonna be happy, and it sounds like it is. It's coming this fall. We don't have a hard release date at this point. I'm sure we'll get that, soon. Another thing that was a little bit strange to me, not that we didn't know this was already happening, but Annapurna's Interactive Showcase was dated here. And, it was funny. One of the things I was kind of like throwing out there as a prediction was that we would get some sort of Neon White expansion or spin-off game. And they said, like, here's like a tease of some of the stuff you can expect to see at Annapurna's Interactive Showcase on June 29th. And it showed Stray, Neon
White,
and I'm like, so hang on, like what do you? These are known games. Are like, is Stray gonna come to Switch?
That's what I don't know. I was wondering if maybe it was just an Annapurna sizzle reel. Like, hey, here are the games that you know us for. Be excited for the games that you're gonna. So I don't know if maybe I'm trying to temper my expectations just a tad. And saying to myself, it was probably just a sizzle reel, maybe a slight disconnect in communication between the script and the video editor. But it could also be, yes, Stray being confirmed for other platforms. Yes, Neon White getting a big content update. So fingers crossed for both of those, because both of those would make Eric very happy.
Yeah, Bowser says Stray to Xbox, which is probably true. It could even be.
It's coming to Xbox at some point. Absolutely.
Yeah,
it's absolutely coming to Xbox at some point.
It could even be like Stray DLC or something like that.
That's true. That's true.
But let us hope. Let us.
Yeah,
hope.
I've predicted Stray coming to Nintendo Switch. Granted, that was much more wish fulfillment on my end than anything else, but I would still absolutely love to see that happen. It was one of the biggest. I mean, it's like Annapurna's getting so big. It's getting kind of hard to call them indie, but I mean, we did an indie showcase on Neon White, and it was our indie game of the year for last year. So I mean, but still, I would love to see Stray on the Nintendo Switch. And if we're getting more content for Neon White, that would make both Seth and I incredibly happy.
Yeah, well, they showed, not only did they show Neon White and stuff, but they also they had that Lorelei and the Laser Eyes was in there. Open Roads was in there. That's the new game from Fulbright. I'm really looking forward to that. Outer Wilds was in there, and then they teased at the end of it our biggest announcement yet at the very end, with a strange like shot of like an eyeball. So I don't know what the deal is with that, but I'm looking. I mean, look, I like Annapurna's showcases have been solid. And
they put out good stuff too. I mean, I watch Annapurna just to see the games at this point, not even just to see like Nintendo Switch headlines that we could potentially talk about on the show. Annapurna puts out good stuff. I would, even if we didn't do this show, I would be watching the Annapurna showcase.
Yeah, June 29th, mark it on the calendar. Looking forward to it. Couple other things to quickly hit here from Summer Game Fest. Now, this was not like a show that was packed with Nintendo content or whatever, but we did get confirmation. Yes, Your Grace Snowfall coming next year will be hitting the Nintendo Switch. Honestly, I don't know much about this. I've heard like the title, Yes, Your Grace, but I don't know much beyond that, to be honest with you.
Unfortunately for me, and I think for a lot of people, this was one of the games that just kind of got sucked into the void of the middle of a lot of the other bigger announcements, a lot of the more high profile goings on at Summer Game Fest, because unfortunately there was a lot of that going on during the show. And we Seth and I did a full breakdown of the show on SideQuest. So if you want to hear our full thoughts and you're a patron, definitely check out this week's SideQuest. We're actually going to be doing full breakdowns of like all the major shows on SideQuest for the rest of the month. So if you want to hear all of our full thoughts on everything, then make sure to become a patron. But just from a Nintendo standpoint, this kind of got sucked into the middle of a bunch of other, I don't want to say mediocre trailers, but a lot of other just kind of samey feeling trailers. I hope it's great. and I'm glad that we got to see another game coming to the Nintendo Switch. But try as I might, like I couldn't get myself excited for it, even after I saw the Switch logo.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe subsequent showings off will change my mind.
Yeah. Cue the YouTube commenter who's going to say, well, actually, yes, Your Grace is amazing and you guys are idiots. So, hey, maybe.
I hope it is.
Maybe.
I hope it is.
Yeah.
Absolutely hope it is.
Yeah.
But I mean, I certainly care more about our friend Lockleth.
Yeah. Lockleth, who's here watching us live on YouTube right now, is very excited for FaeFarm, as she says. FaeFarm. FaeFarm coming September 8th, which looks to be a kind of like life management, Stardew Valley farming sort of thing, but with fairies.
AKA Lockleth the game.
Yeah, it's right. I mean, it couldn't be more up her alley. And yeah, I mean, it's not for me, but I'm happy she's happy. It's September 8th too, which is Lockleth and I's birthday month. So for all the Virgos out there, FaeFarm.
Hashtag Leo. But yeah, if you're excited for FaeFarm, yeah, make sure to follow our friend Lockleth. I guarantee you, she's going to be creating a bunch of content around that. So if that's a game you're interested in, make sure to follow her.
Yeah, I'm sure she will. That's Lockleth here on YouTube. Eric, let's talk a little bit about Day of the Devs, because, again, Summer Game Fest didn't have a ton of Nintendo headlines. Day of the Devs didn't either, but there was one in particular.
There was one in particular that was, if you're a longtime fan of All In.
A very long time.
A very long time fan of All In. A reveal that was spoiled for you about 3 years ago, to the day, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we figured it out. It was to the day. So, okay, backstory here. We knew coming into Day of the Devs that we would see the reveal of Greg Lobanov's new studio, Wishes Unlimited, that we would see their game. Greg Lobanov, for those who don't know, is the developer of Wandersong, Chicory, and, he and that core group of people who made those games founded a new company, Wishes Unlimited, and they said, hey, our debut title is going to be at Day of the Devs, and it kicked off Day of the Devs, sure enough, and as we're watching this reveal trailer for their new game, Beastie Ball, I'm like, oh my god, this is exactly what Greg Lobanov said he would like to make on All In Episode 1, which debuted June 11th, 2020, nearly 3 years ago. And Eric, actually, we went back and realized that, no, we literally recorded that interview with Greg, our first ever guest on the show, our first ever interview on All In a Nintendo podcast, on June 8th, 2020. So exactly 3 years to the day after he said it to us, his dream game is revealed at Day of the Devs, which is, because for those who have never listened to the podcast, links are in the description, and we highlight independent developers and independent games every week on the podcast. And Greg, being our first guest, he was also the first person to answer the same question we ask every independent developer, which is, if Nintendo approached you to make a game using one of their IP, what would it be and why? He said Pokemon, but he said, like, I'm going to misquote him, but he's something to the effect of, Pokemon's always had this weird tension where you're having your friends, the Pokemon, fight each other, and it's weirdly violent. I would love to make a Pokemon game, something like Pokemon, but it would be so much better if they could compete in ways that are non-violent, say sports, like volleyball, perhaps.
He specifically says volleyball in the interview. He specifically, and not just like in and amongst other sports. It's not just like
that.
He specifically highlighted volleyball as a game. It wasn't just like, oh, maybe they could play baseball or soccer or basketball or volleyball. It's like, no, he specifically said volleyball. And I was watching the reveal and I was thinking to myself, like, why does this sound so familiar? But thankfully, Seth has an even better memory than I do. And he was like, do you realize he told us about this? I'm like, I knew I wasn't crazy.
I was freaking out. I was like, oh my god. I was like, this is Greg's dream game. And yeah, so I went and dug up the clip and posted that on Twitter, and that was super fun. So I mean, no, when you're watching the trailer for Beastie Ball, if you're a fan of Wandersong, Chicory, good, so are we. But know that Beastie Ball is a literal dream game for this person. And this is something that he, again, recorded on the first episode of our podcast, has said that that is his dream game. So, and it's coming to Kickstarter at some point in the very near future. We'll talk about it when it does. Can't wait. Yeah, Eric's reaching back for his Wander Song plushie. So we're huge fans of this guy. He's been on the show multiple times now. He's on episode 1. He was on episode 100. He will certainly be back on the show in the future. And we have a lot of love for him. We wish them all the best, no pun intended. And we can't wait to support the Kickstarter campaign. Cannot wait.
Yeah, both Seth and I are going to be backers on that. You'll probably see us in the credits of that game.
1000%. Can't wait. Beastie Ball. And I mean, look, the game is exactly what it says on the tin. It is a Pokemon style sort of creature collector experience, but with volleyball. And I'm sure it's going to have all of the heart and love and humanity and passion that Greg's games always do. So I can't wait. Lena Raine is back to compose the music after her turn on Chicory. And I mean, so Greg Lobanov plus Lena Raine equals Instabuy. Like, for me, like, there's no question. It's going to be incredible.
Either one of those names is an Instabuy for me, but it's absolutely going to be a game that I play in 100% and love till the end of time, more than likely. But I would be remiss if I didn't say one thing. Being somebody who grew up and really came into his own as an adult in the 90s, I couldn't help but think when I heard Beastie Ball, like some kind of, like in my mind, I was thinking Trey Parker and Matt Stone basketball with the Beastie Boys.
All right. I can see that. I mean, maybe there's some Beastie Boys, reference in there or something. That'd be good. Yeah, and I'll special shout out to the Beastie Ball press kit. I just gotta say, as somebody who interacts with press kits a lot, and as somebody who, I like making all the artwork and the thumbnails and stuff and all this, like, I interact with press kits quite a bit. That is probably the best, most thoughtful press kit I've ever interacted with. Like, just separated art assets, the background, the logo, the character artwork, all nice and clean and separated and high quality. Mwah, chef's kiss. Shout outs to the Beastie Ball team, man.
It's almost as if they want people to interact and cover their game.
That I'm just saying. So anyways, yes, of course, we're very excited for that. Not a lot of other, and again, this is more so just an assumed thing. Greg's other games have come to Switch. I have to imagine Beastie Ball will as well.
It's going to. Yes, it wasn't officially confirmed to be coming to the Nintendo Switch, but I mean, come on.
And it also has so much history with us, that we had to share that story. So
I'd be surprised if you and I weren't beasties in the game, for heaven's sake.
we should be. There's a couple other things to mention here. There's this really cool looking game called Hauntii. Hauntii, which is coming next year for the Nintendo Switch. And it's an interesting looking game with a very striking art style, kind of like a pencil sketch looking art style, where you play as this spirit essentially possessing items and things in the world to interact with and solve puzzles. It looks really cool. I'm intrigued by it. So
we'll see. Yeah. Admittedly, yeah. Day of the Devs, Wholesome Direct, like those are typically shows that we get a ton of headlines from and a ton of stuff to talk from. This one, weirdly enough, not so much.
Yeah.
And that I think in and of itself is an interesting takeaway. Just because, and it makes me wonder, I honestly think just that alone, just because of how Nintendo packed a lot of these indie shows are, I honestly think that lends more credence to this idea of a partner direct from Nintendo this month.
Yeah, it either means something or it means nothing. So we'll see. I think so, though. I think we're going to be gearing up for that pretty soon. They also showed a new trailer for Cocoon, which is still slated for this year. No release date, but Cocoon continues to look awesome, and that's coming at some point this year. The Nintendo pals, I believe, do have that in their fantasy critics, so I can't stick on it for too long, just in, for sure,
just on principle.
Yeah, but Cocoon continues to look good. They'll probably get some points for that one. We'll see.
Yeah, Cocoon just feels like the game that slots into that like Death's
Door, Tunic.
Tunic. Yeah, it just kind of feels like it slots right in there with those games.
Yeah.
So we'll check it out. But talking about shows that we don't really have a lot necessarily to talk about from, we should at least mention the fact that the Devolver Direct did happen.
It did happen. It was a thing.
It did happen.
The show of all time.
It was the show of all time. It was incredibly bizarre, but weirdly enough, like there weren't any Switch logos. And ironically enough, the Devolver Directs have also been very Nintendo Switch heavy presentations in the past. We've been able to reliably talk about quite a few really interesting looking games from past Devolver Directs, but really not so here. Wizard with a Gun bizarrely hasn't been confirmed for the Nintendo Switch. Talos Principle 2, admittedly, doesn't surprise me, hasn't been confirmed for the Nintendo Switch. And then they only showed off 2 other games, as Devolver has unfortunately kind of want to do the past year or so. They much more cared about their framing device than the game trailers themselves. So not really much to talk about from the show in particular, but it happened.
Yeah, I think that's the proper assessment, is they care more about the production of the show than the announcements, which is fine. Whatever, it is what it is. I will say the only sort of Switch adjacent headline coming out of it actually happened during the pre-show, which is that Shadows of the Damned Remastered was confirmed and revealed during the pre-show countdown clock. The full reveal is happening at Grasshopper Manufacture's 25th anniversary event next week on June 14th. I cannot wait for that, because I can't wait to not only, hopefully, Suda has been a little coyly teasing that you'll be able to play Shadows of the Damned in handheld, which to me has to mean it's coming to Switch. And I love that game.
Yeah, you pointed out to me that it could also mean Steam Deck.
It could. It could. Or
but
both.
I really hope it does mean Switch. I really hope it means Switch. They're not necessary. Suda's games are rough around the edges to be nice about it. But, there's still just something about them.
Well, Shadows of the Damned, I think, is actually the prettiest game. Maybe, No More Heroes 3 is more modern, certainly, but Shadows of the Damned, the art direction of that game and the colors, it's a pretty game, but it's still, that game was on PS3 and Xbox 360. It can run on Switch. So I am very hopeful that this will come to Switch. We'll know more on June 14th, and I'm sure we'll talk about it next week on the show. I'm very, very excited. And I'm excited to see what else they have, because they're doing a whole 25th anniversary event. It can't just be this. But yeah, that was literally it for Devolver Direct. We've got events coming up this weekend. So tomorrow we've got the Future of Play Direct, which I'm very excited about, because Analgesic's already confirmed the full reveal of their next game there. Probably going to get a title, going to get to see more of that bump slash combat. I'm very excited about that. And I'm also kind of low-key hoping that maybe this is where Stephanie is on Switch, which has been openly confirmed, and they've basically said it must just be the publisher waiting on the right time. I don't know, but it's done. They literally said, it's done.
The developers told us it's coming to the Nintendo Switch.
I mean, yeah, Melis on not only on the podcast but even on Twitter, he's been we passed, the game is done. It's ready. It's sitting done and finished. I'm assuming they're just waiting on whoever the publisher is to find the right time to release it. So I'm kind of hopeful that it's here.
Hey, look, we're announcing this. I'm we know.
Yeah.
We're just thankfully
we're just waiting. TikTok, man. So hopefully that's a thing. I cannot wait for that. They've become my favorite independent developer. I love their games.
Check out Anodyne 2. Check out
Yeah, even the Ocean, Anodyne 2, all on the Nintendo Switch, and I've talked about them all on the show. Wholesome Direct is also happening that same day at noon Eastern. Always a good show, always some good Nintendo headlines there. Definitely tune into that. I believe, speaking of Locklith, I think Locklith is live reacting to that on her channel. So I might hang out with her and watch that tomorrow afternoon. And then the Future Game Show is happening at 1 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah.
So we got that going on. Sunday, of course, is the Xbox Game Showcase at 1 p.m., immediately followed by the Starfield dedicated Direct. We'll probably get some Nintendo Switch adjacent stuff there. That usually happens, games shown there that are also coming to Switch, some stuff that's already been leaked, unfortunately. that is also already confirmed for Switch. So we'll talk about that
Yep.
more next week.
Yes, we will.
Ubisoft Forward, we've already mentioned, is happening on the 12th as well at 1 p.m. Eastern. And then the Capcom Showcase happening on the 12th at 6 p.m. Eastern. So we got a lot coming up next week.
That and the
we're gonna
Grasshopper
cover.
Direct.
Yeah. All of that. We've got all kinds of stuff happening next week that we're going to talk about on between this show, between All In Side Quest exclusively on Patreon. There's a lot to talk about. But Eric, speaking of Capcom, we should talk about this Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak digital showcase that happened, the final one.
The final one for the bonus update that was released this past week for Monster Hunter Rise, featuring the final monster to be added to the game that we're aware of. I mean, it was pretty clear, the finality of it all, because it was wrapped around this entire development roundtable looking back on the development of the game. And we get first dibs at all these. The past several updates are coming in a couple months, all in one big swoop to next-gen consoles. But the final update is already out on the Nintendo Switch, featuring the final monster. What was it? Corrupted
Primordial
Malzeno. Yes.
Yep.
And it makes sense that a version of Malzeno is the final monster, considering Malzeno is the game's flagship. Well, it's Sunbreak's flagship monster. So it did make sense that the final monster added was a souped-up, corrupted Super Saiyan version of the showcase monster.
Yeah.
But in addition to that, they've mentioned a couple other tweaks that they made to the game. At this point, it's honestly just too much to even talk about. But they did specifically mention that even though this is the final content update, they will be adding new event quests through the end of next month. So I believe July 27th will be the final event quest added to Sunbreak. So technically, we've still got new content coming for another month and a half.
Yeah. So I mean, like, it's a staggering amount of content for the game. The team should be very proud, and it's great to be able to kind of take this victory lap with it. And I mean, there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of stuff to do in Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak. So cool kind of final update. Did shadow drop during the digital showcase as well. So very, very cool. We got that happened. We got a new Pikmin 4 trailer, which was cool. Showed some character customization, Eric. This was surprising to me. I actually didn't expect this.
I didn't either. It doesn't, I mean, it looks like it's basically an Olimar meme maker for all intents and purposes. But it's cool that they have that in there for the sake of representation. And, just a little bit of customization really helps put you in your character's shoes a little bit better. We've already seen a bunch of other stuff from the game. It's coming next month.
Yep.
But, just continuing to show off fun, new little features, that makes Eric happy. I'm very excited for the game. I'm obviously going to pick it up when it comes out. We're going to be doing a review of that game probably right at the beginning of August. But yeah, Pikmin 4 looks like it's going to continue the trend of Pikmin games being Pikmin good.
Yeah, well, let me stick on Pikmin 4 for a second, because here's my thing. I've always felt like there's a wall of glass between me and Pikmin. I like them all a lot. I've played them all, and I really like them all. But there's always been just I've never loved Pikmin. And I don't know if it's because I really love the gameplay. I think it's super impressive and accessible, considering that this is effectively Nintendo's take on a real-time strategy game. Resource management and things for it being what it is, it's very impressive, and I do like it a lot. I've always felt like I should love it more, and I think that at least some of that has to do with I feel like I can't really connect to the world and the characters as much as other Nintendo games. They're very story light, and even the characterization of the characters is very kind of hands off. I like all the characters, I like the designs, I like the art, but we don't get that much from Pikmin in that regard. And so I think even just simply allowing me to make my own character and interact with this kind of world that way, I think has me excited to like bridge that gap for me a little bit. I think that might be like a step in the direction of like what I feel like I've always been missing from Pikmin, which is a way to just sort of like connect to its world more. So I'm actually really excited about just being able to make my own character, which is weird. I didn't think I'd have that reaction to it. And I also think that I feel like we're going to follow a similar trajectory to last year when it relates to Nintendo's presentations. Because last year, at the end of June, we had two things. We had a Xenoblade Chronicles 3 sort of direct, and that was followed by a partner showcase the following week. And I think we're going to get the exact same thing this year. I think we're going to get a Pikmin 4 direct, 20 minutes deep dive. Let's talk about Pikmin 4, drum up the hype cycle, and then the week later a partner showcase. I think we just get that again. So,
I would not surprise me at all if you were right on the money for that. That would not surprise me at all. I mean, you and I were going to pick up Xenoblade Chronicles 3 anyway, but that was a really good showcase for that game. Because that game also released in July as well. So
yeah, I think I think Pikmin 4 is slotting into exactly the Xenoblade place of last year, which I think is great. So I'm looking forward to it, man. This actually, I feel myself getting more and more excited for Pikmin 4 as time goes on, which is nice. Like I like being excited for things.
Well, I think another big part of it is when you have a game like Zelda come out, like that absorbs so much of your excitement and your hype that it's hard to be excited for anything beyond that. But once you get to play something, once you get to experience, as terrible as it is to say, the anticipation's gone. You've already experienced it. You may have had a phenomenal time with it, which we did, but you have finally been able to move on to be excited for other future
things.
We've
cooled off a little bit. 150 hours later, we've cooled off a bit, right? Yeah. So,
but now that the most anticipated game on the Switch over the past few years is out, and we've been able to have our hands on it for, like you said, 150 plus hours, we can allow ourselves to be excited for stuff past that now. And I think Pikmin 4, I will be interested to see what the sales figures for Pikmin 4 look like.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I think it's positioned. I think that's why I think Nintendo knows that they kind of need to like come out swinging with the marketing on this, because like I think it has the potential. The Switch audience is more engaged than ever before. And Pikmin 3 Deluxe did like pretty well, but like Pikmin 4 I think could, if they handle it correctly, could be the best-selling game in the franchise. So
wouldn't surprise me. Wouldn't surprise me at all.
Want to hit this real quick before we get into notable releases, though, Eric. An exciting new announcement that I frankly did not see coming this week. New DLC for TMNT Shredder's Revenge Dimension Shellshock coming at some point. It's going to add a new game mode, new player color palettes, and new playable characters, plural, including the Rabbit Warrior himself, Usagi Yojimbo.
Yeah, that is one thing not a lot of people have really been talking about in regards to this trailer. There was an S at the end of that word character in the DLC trailer. So Usagi Yojimbo will not be the only, but I mean, a lot of TMNT faithful, a lot of classic TMNT fans are going to be incredibly stoked. This is very much, when it comes to like classic Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, like this is the guy that you would want to bring in. Absolutely, 100%. I'm excited. I've got friends who are lifetime TMNT fans that practically went into a hype-based coma when this was announced. I cannot wait to play as Usagi Yojimbo. I will be interested to see how much new content, how many new stages, and how much new gameplay is actually going to be added here. I knew they're adding new colors, which, good. Finally, I think that's going to be really cool. But just honestly, they could have just added the character and people would have been hyped through the moon. But we're getting a little bit more than that. I would like to see how much more. But I mean, still, this is day one for us, obviously.
Yeah, sorry, I was trying to mute my mic off and on. My dog, my wife just got home, so my dog is barking. So if y'all hear a cameo from my dog, that's what's going on. So I'm excited for this, man. The game's great. Like Shredder's Revenge is super fun.
It's fantastic, yeah.
and like to have more content, coming for this game is exciting. And like the playable characters, I mean, there is such a deep well of characters to choose from. My first thought is like the punk frogs are already in there. Like they're, just make
you
them
want to make the
playable.
punk frogs playable?
Yeah, just make them playable and then swap it out to where that moment in the game is the turtles instead.
Dotemu, give us a TMNT fighting game in the same, please. Please just give us a TMNT fighting game in the same style as Shredder's Revenge. You've got all these characters in the game already. You're adding more. Just please.
Yeah, and you know what though? Even more exciting to me than that is I believe T Lopes has already confirmed
He did
new music as well.
Yep.
So
yep.
Sam's
God, the
here
music in that game is amazing.
Oh yeah,
music in that game is absolutely stunning.
Yeah, Sam's here in the chat. It says Fugitoid. Let's get Fugitoid playable.
Fugitoid.
Yeah.
I don't want to see Fugitoid just because that would remind me of TMNT Smash Up. I know that's just me, but still.
Your favorite game.
My favorite game of all time. But super excited for this. I do want to say this completely overshadowed another DLC announcement, which I'm also really excited for. Another really cool beat 'em up is getting another massive dose of DLC soon. Dawn of the Monsters also announced within 15 minutes. I can't remember on 15 minutes before, but right around the exact same time that Dotemu announced the Shredder's Revenge DLC, Dawn of the Monsters Arcade Edition DLC plus character pack is going to come to the Way Forward Kaiju beat 'em up. They're going to include a new character, Meteor Temujin, arcade mode, 50 new skins, including a free up. That's paid DLC, but a free update is going to include new story plus, new game plus, and plus, new trials, and a full Japanese voiceover. So a ton of content coming very soon to another really cool beat 'em up that we think you should check out, Dawn of the Monsters.
Yeah,
I can't wait to dig into both of those. And
Kaiju.
right before Kaiju, yeah. Kaiju. That's all you need to know. Just Kaiju. But here, right before we get into the notable releases, just two quick PSAs. A big run this weekend in Splatoon 3.
Oh my god, is it? I didn't realize that.
Yes, big run this weekend in Splatoon 3. Going through the 11th, you've got 48 hours to jump into the next Splatoon 3 big run going on this weekend. I'm going to try to find some time. I really want to. I'm going to try to find some time. But yes, big run is going on. And it's not happening this weekend, but next weekend. But those Tera raid battles for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, they had to cancel because of an error in the game, because of a bug. Those have been rescheduled for next weekend. So Chestnut, Iron Treads, and Great Tusk. Those raid battles are going to be next weekend now. Yeah. So, but yeah, so much from this week to talk.
I completely forgot about that. Yeah, thanks for flagging that. Man, you're killing me, Smalls. Like you got to do it, like on the weekend where I'm busy doing like family stuff this weekend. You're gonna do a big run. Come on. I know.
Man. I know.
Is what it is.
So much to do. But let's hit these notable releases, Seth.
Let's do it. First one, first and foremost, man.
Yes.
We got to talk a little bit about Anna Lynn, which shadow dropped during the Guerrilla Collective. And if you guys have been paying attention to us on social media here on the YouTube channel, did a spotlight, here on the YouTube channel of the game. And our friend Tony Grayson from Summit Sphere reached out last week and was like, hey, we have this game that we're publishing called Anna Lynn. It's this kind of like arcadey, like Pac-Man meets Spelunky sort of thing. And it's shadow dropping during Guerrilla Collective Showcase. We would love to work with you guys and spotlight this game. So we were able to do exactly that. So again, there's a video on the YouTube channel right now. We're going to be talking about it much more on the main show, All on a Nintendo Podcast. Again, if you're watching on YouTube, links are in the video description to that podcast, where in our indie showcase this week, you'll get to hear an interview with the game's creator, Cruz Elroy. And that's a great interview, a great conversation.
Yeah. Super awesome, great. Dude.
Yeah, so much fun. And so like it's awesome to get to cover the game in this way. We're honored that Tony thought of us for this, and it was great. Cruz is deserving of all the attention that he can get. Annalyn is a special game, and
it's $5.
it's $5. It's $5, guys. Like, if you even like arcade, retro experiences even a little bit,
Yeah.
just buy it. Honestly,
Yeah.
like, it's
If
so good.
if you still have fond memories of playing those old coin-op machines from the mid-'80s, the Galagas, the Pac-Mans, all those classic arcade-style games, I think you're really, really going to dig Annalyn. And because it's being published by Summit Sphere, Anton's playable.
Anton from Anton Blast is playable in the game, and it's really, really great. And in addition to that, in the Nintendo Switch version of the game exclusively, you can play the game in vertical mode, tate mode, or whatever they call it. Yeah, flip it and play it the way it's meant to be played in traditional arcade fashion. And
It's really
it's
cool.
beautiful on the OLED screen. It's just a great little game, man. I'm super excited. And again, interview with Cruz Elroy on the podcast tomorrow. Look forward to that. Bleak Sword DX, speaking of Devolver Digital, I don't know why something like this wasn't given more love at the Devolver Direct, but that came out on the Nintendo Switch, and this game looks really cool. It's getting well reviewed. It looks like a very sort of pixel art, kind of like you're playing a pixel art character fighting pixel art monsters in a 3D environment. These sort of diorama-esque spaces, but it's kind of
they look really cool.
It's like black,
it's
white,
almost
and
like
red color.
Yeah. It's almost like an isometric Commodore 64 kind of thing. It looks really interesting. It looks really cool.
The visual style alone looks sick, and I really would like to play this one. Looks great. Harmony: The Fall of Reverie also dropped, which is a pretty major release. That one also featuring music by Lena Raine, and that alone,
I didn't know that.
Want to play it.
Yeah.
So that, I believe, I'm trying to verify it here. Yeah, that's a Don't Nod game. So
really,
I mean, this is Don't Nod and Lena Raine making a game, and I'm kind of sold just from that alone. So,
that's interesting. I didn't know that. I might have to check that out.
Yeah, I think that's that one that's I think the gameplay, it's like a visual novel, but the gameplay is kind of like a strange sports game. I think we saw it at at a Indie World or something recently. But yeah, it came out this week. It was, so that's a thing. That kind of snuck up on me.
That's a thing. But one thing I want to highlight really quick from this past week is you guys know I'm also a big shmup fan, and Raiden Trad 3 Cross Mikado Maniacs came out this week. So if you're a big arcadey style shmup fan, if you remember the old Raiden Trad and 1950, all those old games, the top-down shmups, you may want to check this one out. It is a little pricey, $29.99, but I have a lot of love for the Raiden Trad series. And
Nice.
This one, a new release from NIS America, who also does R-Type Final now and all that stuff. So they're doing their darndest to keep that genre alive, and I love them for it. But that released on the Nintendo Switch this past week as well.
Nice. Those are the notable releases, folks. Let us know what you're playing
Yeah.
this weekend. Play Annalyn. It better be Annalyn.
Better be. Let us know what you're playing, as long as it's Annalyn. Yeah,
Right.
Let us know what you guys are up to this weekend. Reach out to us on Facebook and on Twitter at All In Podcast. Make sure to join our phenomenal Discord community over in, go figure, Discord. Make sure to like and follow our YouTube channel right here at youtube.com/allinpodcast. Hit the subscribe button, the bell button, all that good stuff, because you are not going to want to miss a single one of our weekly news updates. In addition to all the other stuff that Seth and I put up on, mostly Seth puts up on the YouTube channel. He put up a video of Annalyn, if you want to check that out. He also put up a video of another game that he played this past week called
Killer Frequency.
this one. Yeah, it was. Tartarus Key was last week. Killer Frequency was this week. That's right.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
we got so many videos going up on the YouTube channel, I can't even keep track.
Oh,
So make
snap.
sure to check out. Yeah, so make sure to check out the YouTube channel. In addition to all that, all the content that we create, we actually create exclusive content for our patrons.
We do. Patreon.com/allinpodcast is the place to be. 3 tiers of support. You can head over, get the 7-day free trial to the Golden Banana tier, which would get you access to All In Side Quest and the $2 Hero Cast, 2 exclusive podcasts. All In Side Quest is our non-Nintendo show. So we covered the Nintendo stuff here, but if you want a even deeper breakdown of Summer Game Fest, you can get a look at that from All In Side Quest as well. And we do that every single week. There's all kinds of stuff. Our Triforce tier supporters get discounts on merch at bit.ly/allinmerch. We got shirts, we got mugs, we got stickers. So head over there and pick yourself up some of that. And that's a great way to throw a few bones our way for our hard work. You can also leave us reviews if you're listening on the podcast feed. 5-star reviews are very, very appreciated. We love you very much and appreciate you on that. And yeah, again, the main show is dropping tomorrow. Yeah, listen to that. Eric's holding his Wandersong Bard plushie for good luck.
For good luck, yes. The Bard brings me luck. But yeah, for all of our amazing patrons, we just want to send a big thank you to you guys, for everybody who has dropped words, who have reviewed us on whatever podcasting service or video service you consume our content on, and for everybody who has just shared our content, interacted with our content any way, shape, or form across the internet. We just want to say namaste.
Namaste indeed, everybody. Have a great weekend. Tune into the podcast tomorrow, which is going to be a great episode. We're doing a developer spotlight on Grezzo tomorrow, which is super fun.
Where I stay completely composed.
Where Eric is completely composed the entire time.
And completely level-headed and not sensationalizing anything at all.
No.
Blowing things out of proportion, or
it was a great conversation. It was fun. It was great to spotlight.
It was a lot of fun.
We're doing a top 5 on the top 5 yo-yos in Nintendo history for National Yo-Yo Day, and of course,
spoiler alert: I'm number 1.
And then, of course, a big blowout in the Indie Showcase for Anna Lynn with an interview with the game's creator, Cruz Alroy. So, really fun show. Again, if you're watching on YouTube, links are in the video description to check out that podcast. We will see you there. Have a great weekend, Bowza. Sam was here in the chat. Lockless. Shout outs to everybody who watched us live. We love you all very much. Bye-bye.
Have a great one.
Done.
Fuck.
What?